I feel like video game discourse right now is being dominated by so many other stuff. It's easy to let a game like South of Midnight fly under the radar. It's a game I was looking forward to with a very interesting aesthetic that I haven't seen many games do before, if like any at all, which alone got me interested. And after playing it, it's a good game, but I do have some issues. But let's talk about it. Hi guys, ZPX here reviewing today South of Midnight. Now before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will wipe your memory.
Hey, Grandma?
Is that Hazel? You've gotten taller.
The first thing that pops out about South of Midnight, as you see, is the visual style. It's clear that this game took a lot of inspiration from movies like Coraline, and even goes with a lower frame rate. That does kind of make it a bit more excusable when the game doesn't, it drops some frames, But either way, I think the lower frame rate looks cool. It gives this game like a stop motion look to it, which is definitely, what they were going for. And it really helps this game set itself apart in the visual department. As for other things I enjoyed, I like the combat. I do have my issues with it that I'll touch on later, but it was overall fun and it controlled very well. The exploration is pretty cool too. Just going from point A to point B is cool, and again, it looks very nice. There are also these cool puzzles throughout the game. Specifically, there is like a mechanic in the game where you summon some little dude and you can control him and go into tight spots that Hazel, your main character, wouldn't typically fit through. It's pretty cool. It's also cool when you use abilities to make something into a platform or something solid to jump into. Probably sounded a bit confusing, but what I mean is like there will be a platform that is like effectively a hologram. You like jump onto it and you just go right through it. But you can use like an ability to make it an actual platform, so you jump on it and you can actually jump on it and not go through it. Stuff like that just feels satisfying, The boss fights were cool too. Little spoiler for what I'm gonna say later about the game's repetition, but one thing that I felt really kept refreshing things up throughout the game, that is like an exception to what I'm about to say later about repetition, is the game's boss fights. That was a mess of a sentence. The way they were structured in particular was really cool, and how you would go from one phase to another. I also really dug the music. The music in South of Midnight goes really hard, especially when you're like in a hectic scenario, and can maybe even get nominated for an award. And lastly, I actually kind of dug the story. It follows Hazel, who faces tragedy and tries to uncover the truth of what happened. It does a great job touching on themes of grief and loss and facing the truth, and it gets very heartfelt at times.
Hey there. Headed to your old place. Got no other options.
Moving on to the mixed aspects, one thing that stood out to me was the length of some chapters. Not particularly the length of the game, that's not what I'm talking about, and also not particularly that they were too short or whatever, but more so how uneven they were. Some chapters legit lasted for like 20 minutes, if even, while others lasted for hours. Not necessarily an issue, which is why it's under mixed, but it was very noticeable and very odd. Like legit, the first, I'd say like 4 or so chapters are about as long as some other singular chapters. Isn't that just strange?
Now that's cool.
Now moving on to the bad stuff, I did encounter some bugs and glitches. Not too many, and like I said earlier, I can't fault it for frame rate drops, cause the game by design is running at a lower frame rate. But what I can't fault it for is some audio cutting out. Admittedly only once, but once too many. I also encountered this one bug where I had to use the ability where you make a platform into a platform, like you make it into something that you can jump onto. The thing is though, normally like there's a prompt that tells you to press the button to use that ability. The prompt did not appear, and if the prompt doesn't appear, I can't use the ability, and if I can't use the ability on that platform, I can't progress. I did find a workaround for this. It's called quitting the game and starting it back up, but either way, again, it only happened once, but once too many. Another issue I had, and this is something I alluded to earlier, and that's that the game can get repetitive. I barely, if at all, mentioned that there is platforming in this game. I mentioned that there are platforms in this game, but there is a whole lot of platforming, consisting of stuff like wall running, swinging, gliding, stuff like that. And I thought it was actually pretty cool when each of those things got introduced, but as the game went on and I had to do more and more platforming, it sort of just got repetitive and even a little bit clunky. And even the combat, Really, the only combat in South of Midnight is areas where you fight a bunch of enemies and then boss fights, which I said were cool, but aside from bosses, you fight hordes of enemies and it's just kind of the same every time. That's like, aside from the bosses, again, the only combat in this game. And lastly, I like the story, but that ending was rushed. That's all I'll say on that.
We don't gotta fight, Rock.
Overall, I really enjoyed my time with South of Midnight. This is a visually unique game with a heartfelt story and theme that does the job very well. And it also plays very well too. It is very nice to see Xbox publishing games like this because South of Midnight, in more ways than one, truly feels unique. However, the game does get repetitive with its platforming and its combat, and the story that you may be invested in sort of just ends. Despite this though, South of Midnight is a game that I can respect, but it might not be one that I'll think about too much. In the end, I'm going to give South of Midnight a 7.5 out of 10. And I want you guys to know, a 7.5 is good. What do you guys think of South of Midnight? You guys like this game, not like this game? Have you guys played this game, not played this game? And if you haven't played this game, do you guys want to play it, not want to play it? Anything about the game, let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to like the video, come subscribe, or I will wipe your memory.